Stop building layouts like it's 2015. This one layout, split screen, is used by Stripe, Linear, Notion, and literally every modern SaaS login page you've ever seen. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to build this responsive CSS layout from scratch. If you've ever opened DevTools on a beautiful login page and thought, how is this even structured? This HTML CSS project video is for you. We're breaking down a real production-style split-screen layout using CSS Grid and Flexbox together, the way professional developers actually combine them. And if you want to get really good at layouts like this without guessing your way through every project, I made a guide called Build Any Layout Like a Pro Fast. It pulls together the Grid and Flexbox lessons that actually matter, so you can stop piecing things together from 50 different YouTube videos and start building faster with more confidence. The link is in the description. By the end of this video, you'll know how to build a fully responsive split-screen layout with CSS Grid, how to use Flexbox for clean internal alignment, how to make typography fluid with clamp function, how to create a working password show and hide toggle with JavaScript, and how to make the whole thing collapse beautifully on mobile. This is episode 2 of our real-world CSS layout series every developer must know, one at a time from scratch. By the end of this series, you won't copy-paste layouts anymore. You'll know exactly which tool to reach for and why. So if you haven't watched episode 1, click the link up here or in the description to watch it now. Okay, let's build episode 2, the split screen layout. Phase 1, project setup. Two things are being pulled in before we write a single line of our own CSS. 1. Font Awesome, an icon library. This gives us the envelope, lock, eye, Google, and Facebook icons used later without having to design or export our own SVG icons. Two, Google Fonts, plus Jakarta Sans, a modern variable weight font. Notice the two link rel pre-connect tags above the style sheet link. These tell the browser, hey, you're about to talk to fonts.google.com and fonts.static.com, so start the connection early. This shaves real milliseconds off font loading. Small detail, but it's what separates amateur code from production quality code. Phase 2. CSS Custom Properties, Variables, and Theming. Before writing a single layout rule, we define our design tokens at root. Root is the highest level selector in the document. Think of it as the whole page. Anything declared here with -- becomes a custom property, a CSS variable that we can reuse anywhere with var-name. Why do this first? Because it means every color, font, and transition in this project lives in one place. Want to rebrand this login page from purple to blue? Change 3 values here instead of hunting through 200 lines of CSS. Phase 3. Reset and Base Styles. Every browser ships with its own default spacing and sizing opinions. This block strips those away, so our styles are the only thing controlling the page. This is the hygiene layer every serious project starts with. Quick clarification. Got a comment on a previous video about this line, overflow X hidden, so let me address it here. The comment, fair point, hiding overflow X on the body is bad practice. Find the element causing it in DevTools and fix that instead of masking it at the root. That's correct as a general rule for accidental overflow, but here it's intentional. .editor viewport mockup later in this file is deliberately set to width 120%, so it bleeds past its panel for a premium look. Without overflow X equals hidden on body, that intentional bleed would give the whole page a horizontal scroll bar. So the rule isn't never use this on body, it's know why the overflow exists first. Fix accidental overflow at the source. Contain intentional overflow like this at the root. Phase 4, Component 1, the split screen container. This is the core of the whole video. This is CSS Grid doing the split. Display equals grid turns viewport container into a grid container, and its two direct children, form panel and banner panel, automatically become grid items, no extra markup needed. Grid template columns 1FR, 1.25FR. This is the line that creates the split screen. FR stands for fraction. It divides the available width into proportional shares. Here we're saying column 1, form panel, gets 1 share of space. Column 2, banner panel, gets 1.25 shares of space. So the right column will always be a little wider than the left, no matter the screen size. This is the whole trick behind a responsive split screen. You never need to calculate pixels. Real quick, if this kind of layouts has been a little fuzzy for you, this guide, Build Any Layout Like a Pro Fast, which I built because I kept seeing people learn Grid and Flexbox as two separate, unrelated topics, when really, once you understand how they work together like we just did, building layouts stops being guesswork. It's linked below in the description. Alright, back to the code. Component 2, left side, form panel, Flexbox takes over. Notice we just left CSS Grid territory. Grid's job was only to carve out this column. Now that we're inside the column, we switch to Flexbox to control vertical stacking. This is the grid for outer layout, flexbox for inner layout rule in action. Display equals flex plus flex direction column stacks form wrapper and panel footer top to bottom. Justify content space between pushes form wrapper to the top area and panel footer to the bottom area with empty space distributed between them. This is what pins the footer to the bottom of the panel without a single line of positioning code. Component 3. Input fields. Icon plus input plus flexbox row. Each input is wrapped in a flex row, so the icon and the text field sit on the same horizontal line and share height evenly. Align items equals center is what vertically centers the icon next to the text baseline. Component 4, Password Show Hide Toggle Button. This button is styled to look like invisible. No background, no border. So it reads as part of the input rather than a separate UI element, a common pattern for password fields. Its behavior is wired up in the JavaScript section at the very end of this file. Component 5, Form Utilities Row, Remember Me / Forgot Password. Justify content space between is doing all the layout work here. It pushes Remember Me to the far left and Forgot Password to the far right in one declaration. Component 6, Primary Submit button. Background equals var dash dash color primary gradient pulls in the gradient token we defined back in our root variable step. This is that single source of truth payoff in action. Component 7, or divider. This divider is a classic Flexbox trick. Two pseudo elements, before and after, act as flexible lines on either side of the centered or text. Component 8, Social Login Buttons, Google/Facebook. .social_off_stack is flex direction column to stack the two buttons vertically with even gap spacing. Each individual button is also a flex row internally, .btn social off, to center its icon plus text horizontally. Flexbox nested inside Flexbox, which is completely normal and very common. Component 9. Sign-up prompt. Component 10. Panel footer. Remember, this is the element that gets pinned to the bottom of .form_panel, thanks to justify content space between on the parent, which we set up back in component 2. Component 11, right side, banner/marketing panel. Just like the form panel, this is the second grid item created by our earlier grid_template_columns, 1FR, 1.25FR rule. Grid already reserved this column's width for us. Now, exactly like before, we switch to Flexbox to arrange what's inside it. Justify content space between spreads the heading to the top and the editor mockup to the bottom of this panel. Component 12, fake code editor window mockup. This is a nested Flexbox column. Display equals flex. Flex direction equals column. That stacks a fake traffic light title bar on top of a screenshot image, a classic Mac OS style window mockup used constantly in SaaS marketing pages. Width equals 120%, intentionally overflows the mockup slightly past its own panel on the left edge. Combined with overflow equals hidden on the parent.banner panel, this creates that bleeding off the edge cropped look designers love, without the image actually breaking the layout. Phase 5. Responsiveness. We only write media queries once the full desktop design exists. Notice both breakpoints below are max width, meaning we designed desktop first here, and these rules override styles as the screen gets smaller. Breakpoint 1. Collapse the split screen entirely. At 950 pixels and below, there usually isn't enough room for a comfortable 2-column layout, so we 1. Change grid template columns to a single 1FR column. This is the one line that turns grid from 2 columns into 1, collapsing the split. 2. Hide the whole banner panel. It's a nice-to-have marketing panel, not essential content. Phase 6. JavaScript. JavaScript comes last in the teaching order. This script doesn't add or remove anything from the page. It only toggles state, the input's type attribute, and an icon class at elements that already exist in the HTML and are already fully styled. That's why it makes sense to teach it after every component and every style role is in place. JavaScript here is the final behavior layer sitting on top of a finished structure and style. And that's it. A complete, responsive split-screen layout, built with CSS Grid for the outer structure, Flexbox for everything inside it, and vanilla JavaScript for the password toggle. No frameworks, no libraries, just fundamentals that'll make you a stronger developer. If this CSS layout tutorial was helpful, drop a comment. Let me know which CSS layout you want broken down next. And if you want to keep building layouts like this faster and with fewer mistakes, that's exactly why I made Build Any Layout Like a Pro fast. It's the shortcut I wish I had when I was learning Grid and Flexbox, and it's linked in the description below. If you want my free CSS cheat sheet, just comment cheat sheet below and I'll send you my free CSS cheat sheet. It covers the Grid and Flexbox properties you'll actually use most, all in one page, so you're not constantly Googling things like align items versus justify content every time you build. Subscribe if you're serious about mastering CSS, because I'm dropping a new real-world layout every week. Same time, same channel. I'll see you in the next one.